I went a whole year, I think, in 2011 where I didn't see myself in the mirror because I was so ashamed of who I'd become as a human being, as a cricketer. And that kind of took me to the depths of being completely depressed, being suicidal and actually trying to attempt it. And then I heard a voice that said, I remember seeing a video of Virat where a youngster who's come to ask him for an autograph says, how do you deal with failure?
Yeah.
And he turns around, he signs his autograph and very nonchalantly says to him, failure, my friend, is your greatest teacher. And I completely agree with that. If you're a person who pursues excellence in your life, Funsuk Wangdu said in Three Idiots, यार आप excellence के पीछे भागो यार, कामयाबी तो झक मार के पीछे आएगी. You see Shah Rukh Khan is exactly who he is. You will not find another character like him. Similarly, you won't find another character like MS, like Virat, like Ravi and like Gautam. All of these people are just exactly who they are. Live loudly and proudly who you authentically are. It's one of the things I learned from my wife Sheethal actually. She inspired me to learn how to love myself as a person. I went on a 2-year period where I isolated myself from the world. That 2-year journey of isolating myself, changing my numbers multiple times, cutting myself off from everyone, including my mom and dad and my sister for a matter of 2 years, just went on this journey where you can hit me with anything, I will get back up. I will always get back up.
I swear everything that you've covered in these 2 hours is probably more valuable than a 2-year MBA degree or any other degree.
Man.
I'm not kidding.
पढ़ जाती अगर मैं लड़की होता तो. Let's just say that.
I met Robin Uthappa for the first time while working as an anchor for the Chennai Super Kings during the 2022 season of the IPL, and it was love at first sight for me, or should I say love right after I interviewed him for the first time, because I couldn't help but marvel at how wise, how self-aware and how deep this human being is. Which is why I feel that his identity of ex-cricketer turned broadcaster doesn't even come remotely close to doing justice to everything that Robin Uthappa is. And you'll soon see why I say that, because we hardly spoke about cricket in this episode. I like calling him a philosopher who's masquerading as a broadcaster, but Robbie likes to call himself a man of service.
I'll always be known as a cricketer, but I think over a period of time that will slowly change. People will know me as a man of service because I know that I'm here to serve people.
Yeah. And speaking of service, he served up some golden nuggets of wisdom in this episode, not on cricket, but just on how to live life. Now, before we dive in, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Crex for powering this episode. Crex is the highest rated app on the Play Store, and after spending a lot of time with it, I can safely say that it's only a matter of time before it finds itself in the pocket of every single cricket enthusiast in India. What really stands out to me, having used the app for a while now, is how seamlessly it combines everything that a cricket fan would want under one roof. Live scores, match highlights, expert commentary, and the best short videos. I've been using the app throughout the IPL season, not just as a fan, but also to prepare for my various presenting and podcast gigs. So if you're as much of a cricket junkie as I am, to bas Crex karo yaar. Download the app using the link in the description. So Robbie, I was saying this to you before we started filming, and I swear I wasn't just saying this to flatter you, but it truly is a dream come true to be sitting with you. I swear.
Thanks, man.
I swear. I met you for the first time, IPL 2022, when you were playing for CSK. I was working as an anchor cum producer for them. And I swear to God, the first time I had a conversation with you, which was the first time I was interviewing you, and I should probably say interviewing because it did not feel like an interview. It felt like an organic, free-flowing conversation. And it felt to me that I've known you for years, although I was having my first ever conversation with you. And I think the fact that I felt that way is a testament to your very warm and genial personality.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, so it's lovely to have you. And I'm alarmed by the fact that we're filming this at 1:11 a.m. You're coming back after a long day of shoots at this time, but you're still grinning like a Cheshire cat, and you still seem to have bottomless reserves of energy. What is the secret behind being forever vibrant and effervescent like Robin Uthappa?
Well, I actually love a good conversation, right? So I actually felt like, you know what, it'll be a good conversation because we've had conversations before, and like, okay, it's going to be interesting, and watch some of your stuff also online. I really enjoyed all of that. So like, okay, yeah, it'll make for a nice conversation. So like, okay, you know, I knew today will be like, we've had double headers and all that, but today's a relatively easier day. So like, okay, yeah, let's do it at night. It'll be good.
So
Good,
Robbie
go to
says,
sleep after a good conversation. Huh? It's always good.
So Robbie's expecting a good conversation. No pressure, Anubhav.
It'll be good, buddy. Don't worry.
No. I hope so too. So as part of this podcast, there's a tradition that I have where I come up with a tailored and a personal introduction for special guests that I have on the pod. So I wrote like a short one for you.
Wow.
He was called the walking assassin during his playing days for his tactic of fiercely charging down towards the bowler, but he's as genial and warm off the field as he was fierce on it. He's got such a megawatt smile that if you could plug his smile in, you would never have a power shortage in India.
Dude.
The last time I searched for synonyms of the word charisma on Google gave me Robin Uthappa.
No.
In fact,
ये कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं हुआ?
in fact, rumor has it that even the likes of George Clooney and Shah Rukh Khan are graduates of the Robin Uthappa School of Charm and Charisma.
Oh, no.
An absolute class act and a gem of a human being. And he also happens to be a 2-time IPL winner and a World Cup winner. Robbie, first reactions.
Dude, पड़ जाती अगर मैं लड़की होता तो. Let's just say that. But thank you, it's very kind of you, yeah.
I know you were telling me recently, when we spoke over the phone the last time out, that you completed a certificate in high performance life coaching. It's a very interesting space, something that fascinates me. And I want to devote like a lion's share of the conversation to high performance, especially using the examples of athletes, because they're the epitome of high performance, especially high performance under pressure. Why exactly did you choose to do this certificate? What was it about it that felt fascinating to you?
Oh, man. I figured out recently that I'm a little bit of a storyteller, and give me a chance to talk, I'll keep going on and on and on. So, okay, I'll try and keep this. I'll try and keep this short. So I basically wanted to stay aligned with my purpose in life, and I was pretty young when I figured out, okay, I know that this is my purpose in life, and I always knew that it was adding value. So I kind of lived my life in a way that always kind of added value to people around me. It could be in any way, shape, or form. So while I was young playing cricket, it was more about making sure I contributed to wins, making sure we played well, making sure I helped my teammates as much as I could, and all that. But cricket, it was that. At home, it was doing everything that mom and dad wanted me to do. And basically had a people-pleasing kind of nature. And then little later on in life, when I started earning money, then I said, okay, there are more ways than one that I could add value. So we set up our, after I got married, we set up the Uthappa Foundation. We do a little bit of charity. We set aside a percentage of what we earn that goes towards charity. And that was another way of adding value. And, I was like, always knew that when I'm closer to the back end of my career, I'll probably figure out truly where I can, fulfill that purpose in life, of my life, of adding value. In between, I felt maybe it's cricket and maybe coaching with, coaching batters to become the best versions of themselves and play for India or play in the IPL and become really successful cricketers was a part of it. I thought that could be it, because I was like, okay, where will I do it? And funnily enough, I felt like that didn't kind of feel whole to me. It felt like it felt more half-hearted, not half-hearted, but it felt like I wouldn't be encompassing everything that I wanted to do. And Sheets, my wife Sheets is, you know Sheets, so Sheets has also been a life coach for the last decade or so. So after she retired from tennis, then she found perhaps her third calling. Her second calling was acting, so she studied acting.
And the first one probably Robin Uthappa.
No, first one is tennis. And then, so she studied acting and then went through the whole thing, graduated out of Anupam Kher's acting school and started auditioning and all that, and then figured out that the industry works a certain way, and then she's like, no, that's not the kind of quality of life that I want to go another way. And she's like, okay, let me figure out the next best thing. And then so she often found herself helping a lot of her friends, and so she's like, okay, maybe that's the more organic thing for me to do. And then she got into it, and then today she's an NLP practitioner, she's a hypnotherapist, and also a life coach, and she studied out of Tony Robbins and Medani's School of Coaching. graduated out of there, specializes in working with women. So she's been working for the last decade or so, and then oftentimes we find ourselves having intense conversations with our friends, and we end up kind of helping a lot of our friends and acquaintances that we meet and come across. And so one of these times, I think it was 2018 or 19, I remember telling her, I was like, babe, after I finish playing cricket, maybe what I should do is, also become a life coach, and then we can start working together as life coaches. And that was just a joke we cracked, but fast forward 6 years, I'm today a certified life coach, and I feel like I went through this breakthrough program. I have a friend who's also a life coach, is also a mentor of sorts for me in this space of life coaching. And then he had a breakthrough program. It was a 4-day weekend. It's called the Breakthrough Weekend. So I went for this weekend, and I knew that there was things that I needed to do besides cricket, and life kind of moved me in that direction. And so I knew life coaching was something I wanted to do, but I didn't know how I would make it work for me. But so I began doing the certification. And as I was going through the certification, I did the Breakthrough Weekend, and then suddenly during the Breakthrough Weekend, I went there for a completely different purpose, but I found my true purpose. I found my true purpose in life coaching, and actually adding value to people on a front that's more not leaving me pigeonholed in just catering to one part of society, within sport even. So it's like very, very niche, right? So I want to cater to a larger audience, and with my life experiences, with my cricket experience and sporting experience, I felt like that's an aspect, an area in life where I can actually add a lot of value.
Exactly.
And the peace I felt was overwhelming, and the joy I experienced on a day-to-day basis, knowing that this is my true calling, and this is what I'll fulfill my life's purpose with. This is my life's purpose, and this is how I'll serve my family and hopefully humanity in time to come.
That's insane, Robbie. I mean, as you were speaking, as you were relating the story and talking about how you found this calling of yours or your life's task, I could tell that it's coming straight from the epicenter of your heart.
Yeah.
And I was getting goosebumps just thinking about what it would truly feel like to finally get to the stage that you've gotten to and had that epiphany that, you know what, this is the reason why God sent me down to this earth.
Yeah, man.
To do.
Oof, that is... Yeah. I don't think there's anything much greater than that when you realize what your purpose is and you start working on that endeavor. It's not a destination, it's a journey, and there's going to be so much of learning, so much of evolution, so much growing to do through this whole process that I'm looking forward to it all together. The kind of people I've met, the friends I've made, the decisions I've taken in life for me and my family, the amount of times I've pushed myself out of my comfort zone. I feel like it's the fruits of all of that seeds that were planted at some point are coming to fruition now. Yeah.
No, more power to you, and hope you just continue going from strength to strength.
Thanks, man.
So we talked a little bit about what high performance life coaching entails. Of course, the phrase high performance is included in it. What do you think, as an athlete who's done so well, who's had gone through trials and tribulations of life, you've literally gone from like the depths of despair to getting yourself out of those depths and then reaching the heights of ecstasy as well, winning the World Cup, the IPL a couple of times, orange cap holder, of course. But you've seen it all, yet you powered through, and you probably did the unthinkable, especially given where you were, where you had thoughts about suicide, and you were going through severe clinical depression. But what do you think separates an athlete when it comes to mentality, when it comes to high performance, from others who might not have the elite athlete mentality? Well, and you can use specific examples as well of cricketers cricketers either retired or present day cricketers, or other athletes that you might look up to.
Yeah, of course. There's so many, right? And there's a specific hunger that's there, for peak performance athletes. It's a hunger that's actually obsessive. It's one that's like you just know that there's so much work to be put.
But do you think that hunger sometimes comes from the shadow self? Because sometimes you might have perverse sources of motivation as well.
Define shadow self.
The shadow self could be, I want to prove my parents wrong, or I have a siege mentality and I feel it's the world against me and I'm here battling the rest of the world. there are some people who might derive oxygen from proving people wrong as well. And sometimes it works beautifully for them. So do you think it could be because of certain traumatic experiences that you might have had during your childhood that sometimes you have that hunger and it's almost as if you had to experience what hell feels like to actually grow to heaven?
Okay, that's a nice way to put it. Nice way of putting it. I actually truly feel that your adult life is the sum of your diverse experiences in the first 4 or 5 years of your life.
Okay.
A lot of your patterns are set from then. A lot of your habits, a lot of your attitudes, a lot of your character is set from that place. So oftentimes when you work with clients or coaches, right, you more often than not get to a place where you're addressing the inner child. You're trying to unleash the inner child.
Exactly.
You're trying to unravel the inner child. You're trying to peel back the layers so that they reach the inner child and they can go to that place of formation and kind of build themselves up again. And it has been scientifically proven that our adult life is the sum of our experiences of the first 7 years of our life.
Got it.
You know, or our characteristics that are formed in our adult life is based on that.
Makes sense.
So if you want to go back and change, if you want to change anything, you have to go back in time.
Exactly.
You have to address those different parts and peel off those different parts. Choose to keep certain parts. Choose to let go of certain parts, depending on where you stand morally, where as a human being, where you stand financially, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of that, right? So it's a diverse exercise. So for me, I feel that is how our characteristics are set, and I operate out of this sole thought that everything in my life that happens to me, whether good, whether bad, whether pretty, whether beautiful, whether ugly, whether hideous, happens to me to serve me. At the base of it, everything that I experience in this life is to serve me. And I operate out of that belief, right? So today, I'm indifferent about if an experience is a good one or a bad one. My gratitude for either of those experiences are the same. Because I feel like when something happens to you, and happens to you, for example, in this moment, it overwhelms you and it overcomes you, right? And that's because it's that close. Like, you give it some time, let it go a little distance from you, and suddenly you see it for what it is, and if you're able to perceive it from a positive space in your head and say, okay, I want to learn from this. If you have a growth perspective about it, then you learn the most from your failures. You learn the most from your negative experiences. So for me, I think a lot of this plays a big part in how you are, who you are, and where you're heading in life. So I've always believed that, because I believe that everything in my life serves me, I'm like, okay, today, what looks like a piece of brain right in front of my face, after a week can look like a walnut because it's actually just a walnut. You know? So for me, that's how I kind of operate. And one of the things that's helped me operate that way, or helped me to get me to where I am today, is because I started perceiving growth and the challenges that come with growth, of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, as an exciting endeavor than a tedious and struggling endeavor. So today, when times are hard, I kind of go back to my macro lens and say, okay, get distance from this. Start observing it than being in it. How is this serving you? How are you going to choose to allow this to serve you? Do you want this to serve you in a positive way, or do you want it to serve you in a negative way? And you have to be real about these things. And it will be hard, but that's the fun part. Go back in time and ask yourself, what are my favorite memories about myself? And I promise you, those will be memories of resilience that you've gotten through hard times from. Those will be things that you've learned from difficult times. Yes, there will be joyous times, but a lot of those memories will also be the tough ones.
Exactly.
The hard ones.
Exactly.
That defined you.
Yeah. That reminds me of a Carl Jung quote, and he says, no tree can grow to heaven unless the tree's roots reach all the way down to hell.
Correct.
Yeah. So I absolutely love that. But I think in many ways you answered my question with this example as well, when I asked you about the difference between, say, the mentality of an athlete versus, say, non-athletes who might not be high performing, is that you can maybe look at something that seems like a negative to most people as a positive. And I think this is something this author Robert Greene calls mental alchemy, where you can, through the power of your mind, you can actually turn shit into sugar, or you can turn something that 99% of the people might perceive to be a negative into a positive. It's not a challenge or an impediment, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, of course. And oftentimes high performance athletes or peak performance athletes, or people who pursue excellence, not perfection. All of those guys look at failures very indifferently. They're like, okay, what can I get out of this? They operate from the perspective of, what can I learn? I remember seeing a video of Virat, I think a few days ago, if it wasn't yesterday, where a youngster who's come to ask him for an autograph says, how do you deal with failure?
Yeah.
And he turns around, he signs his autograph and very nonchalantly says to him, failure, my friend, is your greatest teacher. That's what's going to teach you the most. And I completely agree with that, because as in, who better to look at as a high performance or a peak performance athlete than someone like a Virat Kohli or an MS Dhoni or a Sachin Tendulkar or a Rahul Dravid, because these are those guys, Anil Kumble, those guys who pursued excellence, right? And were indifferent to failure, and was like, what, if I fail, what am I going to pick up from this?
Yeah.
How am I going to let this serve me?
Yeah.
And then they learn from it and they apply it. In cricket jargon, we'll say, एक ही तरह दो तीन बार out मत होना. If you're getting out, get out different ways. Because if you're getting out the same way, that means you're repeating the same mistakes, and there's a cycle that you're on that you need to learn and grow out of, or get off that cycle and figure out a solution for that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So there are two ways of going about it, and both ways are not easy. If you're someone who doesn't like hard work, who doesn't like discipline, who doesn't like effort, then peak performance, I'm sorry, is not for you. Peak performance is for people who want to pursue excellence and who are willing to go through pain and discomfort and be out and live out of the comfort zone and grow into that and make that a part of your comfort zone, and again push yourself out of the comfort zone and grow into that, and that's how you evolve. That's evolution. You can't escape it. I operate from that perspective, right? So you the minute you operate from there, you're like, okay, evolution's a part of life. You start looking at success and failures as the same way, as something that you can learn and grow from, and you can reiterate to yourself in a positive manner and affirm it and then build on that. There are a lot of things that you can do, and high performance athletes often do this. They're not pursuing perfection, they're not pursuing numbers, they're just pursuing excellence, and then the numbers, the perfection or the beauty that comes out of it is just a byproduct of the journey.
Yeah. Guys, just a quick thought. A lot of you reach out to me asking me how I became a sports presenter without any degree whatsoever and without any relevant work experience. I recently did a workshop on how you can become a sports presenter. Extensive workshop, 3.5 hours long, where I literally covered the A to Z of how anyone, yes, you heard that correctly, anyone can break into the field of sports presenting. And I have the recording available for those of you who are interested. Please check out the link in the description that will give you access to the entire recording. And I wouldn't want you guys to miss out on this, especially if you're an aspiring sports presenter. Thank you so much. Now back to the episode. Speaking of high performers, you touched upon lots of attributes. You talked about discipline, their attitude towards failure. You talked about the mindset that they have, the growth mindset as opposed to the fixed mindset that they have. And I'm pretty sure all of these, or a lot of these, would characterize someone like a Virat Kohli. You also touched upon him. I'd love for you to decode his personality. What if you could delve into the psyche, like the tapestry of the psyche of someone like a Virat?
Yeah, so we can get into Virat, but I think oftentimes, Virat's a lovely guy to kind of have a conversation with as well. A lot of depth. He's grown a lot. He's evolved a lot outside of the game. Not just in the game, but outside of the game. But I would like to dip into another personality if you would indulge me.
Go for it.
Let's talk about Sunil Chhetri, because I know him a little bit. I don't know much, but I think he's an inspirational human being.
Absolutely.
Someone who's a man of character, a man of discipline, a man of excellence. When I know Sunil perhaps on a I met him probably 3 or 4 times, but I've seen him operate on the field, how he operates off the field as a leader, his behavior and characteristics on the field, his conversations off it, and I think from just that much and my few interactions with him, you can safely say that he's someone who is truly someone who pursues excellence, not just in what he does, but just as a human being in life. If you're a person who pursues excellence in your life, man, like they say in Funsuk Wangdu said in Three Idiots, यार आप excellence के पीछे भागो यार, ये कामयाबी तो झक मार के पीछे आएगी, so that holds true. That holds so true to every aspect of life. Whether it's your parental relationships, whether it's your sibling relationships, whether it's your romantic relationships, whether it's your platonic relationships, whether it's your parent-child relationship, anything. If you operate from that perspective of growth, because we at the first instance of a challenge, we're like, okay, you know what, I think this is not working, romantic relationships. At the first sign of someone letting you down, you forsake and let go of a friendship.
Yeah.
There are a lot of these things that happen, but all of those experiences are part of a human endeavor in life, right?
Exactly.
So you don't need to, break relationships up or not work things out or evolve past certain issues.
Yeah.
A hurdle doesn't have to become an impediment in your life.
Exactly.
A hurdle should remain a hurdle. You overcome it together or yourself, depending on what the situation calls for.
Exactly. You spoke about Sunil Chhetri's example. I've seen a few of his interviews on YouTube. The Curly Tales, he was there on that. A couple of his other interviews. There was this chat on Instagram Live that he had done with Virat during the lockdown. So I'd seen that as well. And based upon the little that I've seen of him, yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, he seems like a guy who models himself around someone like a Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of his quest for excellence.
Correct.
And I think he's been head and shoulders above so many other athletes, say, within Indian football.
Sure.
And I think within the entire sporting fraternity in India, like, he is like an absolute legend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's an incredible example for youngsters across sport, not just football, right? But across all athletic sport.
Yeah.
I think even non-athletic sport, for that matter. I think it's something. There's so much to learn from someone like Sunil because of just who he is as a human being.
Yeah.
I think the way he holds himself, conducts himself, the way he speaks to the fans, the way he communicates with people. I feel like he's got a lot to give to the world.
Yeah.
And I hope he fulfills all of those endeavors that he has. But that guy is someone that inspires me. And I look to draw inspiration from different types of people, and he's someone that, from the outside, like, man, this guy's got a lot of class and is going about it the right way.
Exactly. No, true role model. Not just for you, for me as well, for many people. So I'd love for you to give me other examples. You spoke about Sunil Chhetri's example. Like, I had a few names on this list of mine, but I'd love for you to give me other examples from outside of this list. So the names that I had was, we touched upon Virat. I had MS as well. I had Gautam, Ravi Shastri as well, because I think these personalities that I mentioned, they're big personalities that really fascinate me, like the way they function, what is it that makes them tick, and I feel there's a lot that you can learn from them, from trying to understand their psyches. But I mean, you can give me examples from outside this list as well.
Okay, so you mentioned Virat, MS,
Gautam, Ravi Shastri. I had these names, and I also had an SRK because you've...
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So these 5 people that you mentioned, what's the one thing that they all possess? That's a one thing that's common across the board. But it's also what separates them.
I'd say delusional levels of self-belief.
Yeah, for sure. But I think what I was going for was they are authentically who they are.
Yeah.
On and off the field, irrespective of who they are, they own who they are.
Yeah.
MS does. Virat certainly does. So does Shah Rukh Khan. So does Ravi Shastri. And we had one more.
Gautam Gambhir.
Gautam Gambhir. Man, come on. Gautam is the epitome of...
He's the leader of this pack.
Yeah. He's like, dude, this is who I am. You take it or leave it. And all of these guys are that. They are who they are. Whether someone accepts it, someone doesn't accept it, it does not matter to them. They're happy to agree to disagree with people.
Yeah.
You know? I have my opinion, you have yours, fair enough. I can respect your opinion. I don't have to agree with you.
Yeah.
I respect your opinion. But that's yours. But this is who I am. You see Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan is exactly who he is. You will not find another character like him.
Yeah.
Similar, you won't find another character like MS, like Virat, like Ravi, and like Gauti. All of these people are just exactly who they are, and so authentically, loudly who they are. Something I say, live loudly. When I say live loudly, I mean live loudly and proudly who you authentically are. It's one of the things I learned from my wife Sheethal, actually. She inspired me to learn how to love myself as a person. I've not met another person in my life who loves themselves as much as she loves herself.
But earlier, before her influence, did you have like some sort of adversarial relationship with yourself? Where it was like a love-hate relationship? Or you were too hard on yourself, you felt earlier?
A combination of both. I was too hard, too soft, too unaware even. So, first of all, as a person, if you're not self-evident, if you're not self-aware as a person, there's very little growth that you can make. And there will be experiences in your life, there will be times that your soul will nudge you in that direction. That is the soul's purpose.
Yeah.
And for all of these people, growth is inevitable. Look at Ravi Bhai today. Today he is well into his 60s, pursuing, broadcasting and coaching and living his loudest life now.
Exactly.
In a way that's most authentic to him.
Yeah.
He doubles down on everything that people troll him about. Yeah. I love that about him.
Exactly.
People don't have the wherewithal to do that,
exactly.
but he's able to do it.
And I have this hypothesis that even, some of these big personalities, there might be lots of haters that they have, but I somehow feel that even the people who, say, hate a Ravi Shastri, secretly respect him for who he is and wish that they had the courage as well to be as authentic as someone like a Ravi Shastri is.
You might be right. You actually probably are right. But it all depends on the person. If they have the
because it might
self-awareness to even understand and acknowledge it from at that level.
Exactly.
Right?
Like this phenomenon might be taking place. Because I sometimes feel that person might actually be showing like a mirror to the person, to the hater, because the hater realizes that, you know what, he isn't quite the authentic self that this person is. And maybe that dark realization makes him want to put the other person down such that he or she can actually feel better about himself or herself.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. Sometimes it just could be like, dude, I just hate his guts. It could be as simple as that even. So it could be that either, right?
Exactly.
It could be any of those things.
But how do you, so you talked a lot about self-awareness. I'm addicted to awareness of the self. Absolutely addicted. Sometimes I feel I'm too addicted, and we can maybe talk about how too much self-awareness might actually sometimes be more of a curse than a boon, because I've thought about this, would love to get your thoughts as well. How does one become self-aware? For me, I've spent a lot of time with myself in solitude, and I have this analytical mind, so I'm always thinking about things, and because I don't quite expose myself to too much stimulation, I get a lot of time with myself uninterrupted, without any stimulation whatsoever. But I'd love to know your process. You talked a little bit about how your wife's made you a lot more self-aware, but other ways in which you have cultivated so much awareness. Because Robbie, when I met you a couple of years ago, like speaking with you now, like something that's very evident even to the most ignorant person is your very enhanced and heightened level of self-awareness.
Well, for me, I think clearly there are a lot of back practices, but I think that there is a method that works for you. You need to figure out what that method is. And self-awareness at the base of it roots from wanting better things for yourself, right? And it kind of originates from, hey, I want this aspect of my life to be at this level.
Yeah.
And like, okay, so what can I do to bring it to that level? It's either conversations that happen along those lines that say, okay, I want to improve this. I'm going to put in effort in this direction. And then so Awareness is the same thing. It's where you direct your attention
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
Right? If you can direct your attention to yourself and observe yourself from a third person's perspective without any burden of judgment, just as an observer, not as someone, as a judge and jury, you'll figure out a lot of things about yourself. And I've grown from a deeply unaware person who was just kind of, life was happening to me. I wasn't making life happen.
Yeah.
I wasn't, at least after a certain point in my life was actually just happening to me, and I was going with the flow of things. That's how I ended up getting depressed and getting to being suicidal, and really just dealing with a lot of shame for a lot of period of time. I went a whole year, I think, in 2011, where I didn't see myself in the mirror because I was so ashamed of who I'd become as a human being, as a cricketer. And that kind of took me to the depths of being completely depressed and being suicidal, and almost like actually trying to attempt it. And then I heard a voice that said, "Wait, not yet." And just that voice of hearing, "Wait, not yet," got me curious, and like, why wait? And why not stop? Don't do it. But why wait, not yet? And then just got me curious, and I started. You know how it all began for me? It actually began where I was like, man, I can't deal with this, with the way my life is anymore. And I was like, I got to start somewhere. So I opened a book. I don't like writing. I was like, let me just start writing.
Yeah.
So this is back in the end of 2011, start of 2012, Jan. So I literally started writing in a book. My name is Robin Uthappa. I was born on the 11th of November, 1980, whatever. And just started writing from there, who my parents are. And I started writing about myself, like literally started writing a story about myself. And suddenly I'm like, shit, who am I? Is this who I want to be? By what standards do I live my life? And how do I want my life to be? What quality of life do I want to have and experience in this journey, And that's where it began. And then I went from a guy who was completely ashamed, depressed, who was suicidal, to working on myself with complete self-awareness, with a single-mindedness of wanting to live a life that was principled, that had standards, and had values that I lived by, and earned my own self-respect. I went on a 2-year period where I isolated myself from the world, and I was still playing. This is 2011-12, so I was still playing 12-13 as well. So that's when the work began, 12. So I was playing for Pune Warriors, Sahara Pune Warriors. So I was playing for them. And that 2-year journey of isolating myself, changing my numbers multiple times, cutting myself off from everyone, including my mom and dad and my sister, for a matter of 2 years, and just went on this journey where I just dived deep into my cricket, dived deep into myself as a human being, developed those standards and principles by which I want to live my life. Failed, got up, failed, got up, failed, got up, failed lesser, got up more, failed lesser, and then the failures stopped happening and reached that place where I was breaking even, In all of that, I learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of things about, creating habits. Habits are not when you do something 10 out of 10 times. Habits are formed when you do it a majority of times. And what is a majority? 50.01 times. That is a majority.
Yeah.
So if you can win the standard you've set for yourself 5.01 times out of 10, you're on your way. Then you win 6 times. Then you win 6.5 times. Then you win 7 times. And then you pursue excellence of winning 10 times. You may not get to 10, you may touch 10 once or twice, but you'll get to 9.5, 9.7, 9.8, 9.9, and you'll start living there. And you'll live there over and over and over again. And then that becomes a standard. And then over a period of time, that's how you live your life by. And I've literally gone back to scratch, set that foundation up again as a cricketer and as a human being, and built my life on that. So whatever I am today is based on the work I've done on myself between 12 till now.
So you began the journey in 2011, then you kept at it. You talked about how you went through it as well. And then maybe you reached a stage where you felt that I have figured myself out, or definitely figured more of myself than I knew before I actually embarked upon that journey. Is that why you also got that tattoo, I am, on your right arm, which is a commemoration of the fact that you figured yourself out at least a lot more?
Yeah, so it was multiple things, right? So I was a deeply religious person growing up. So for me, it also had a religious connotation of God when he addressed himself, called himself the great I am in the Old Testament Bible. So for me, it meant that it was a call to God as well for me. It's a knowing that the Creator is with me and I'm a part of Him. I'm a minuscule part of Him. It was also me completing that journey from being clinically depressed and suicidal to reaching a place where I'm a man of standards. I've set standards for my life. I've set values and principles for myself, and I've formed them, and I've earned my own self-respect. So it was also a matter of self-respect.
Yeah.
It was also a call to me saying that if I ever encounter depression again, I've overcome it once, and I've overcome it, and I've come out shining. So if I ever get to that place again, it's a call back to saying, hey, you've done this once. You know where it goes. You know how to do this. So it's a reminder as well. So it works as multiple different things. And very seldom do people ask me, hey, I am. What does that mean? I have a lot of my cricketers, colleagues, friends who ask me, I am what?
Yeah.
So when they say I am what, I'm like, okay, this is not going to lead to a meaningful conversation. So I'm like, so I say, yeah, I am whatever I want to be,
Nice.
But when someone asks me, hey, what does I am mean? And what's the story behind it? Then, it makes for an interesting conversation.
Exactly.
And I enjoy those deep kind of conversations.
So you know what that reminds me of? So I saw Sheeth's Instagram account as well, and I read her caption, and I loved how simple yet
profound
or unique this was, where she had in the first line of her bio, I am me, with a smiley face. Besides that, I'm also a mother, a wife, and a hypnotherapist, former tennis player. But I loved the simplicity yet the profundity that I am me had, and then I'm all of these things.
Yeah. She is the epitome of of someone who who loves herself so much but lives for other people out of that love that she has for the abundance of love that she has for herself.
I loved how you put it. Yeah.
She is everything that you want a human being to be. She's strong when she needs to be, and because she's played sport, she's got a lot of masculine energy as well. So she can turn that on when she wants to turn it on, when she needs to turn it on. She's very in touch with her feminine side, and oftentimes female athletes find it difficult to be in touch with their feminine side, because to pursue a sport as a female, oftentimes you need to dip into your masculine energy, and oftentimes because you have to operate from that space, a lot of times you kind of comes out off the field as well, off the court as well, and then you kind of operate from there. But to have the mental awareness and the wherewithal to say, okay, there needs to be a balance of the field, and you need to be yourself, you need to find yourself and operate from there and step into those personas when you need to step into those personas is also important. Sheethal does that very, very well, that's so her, I am me, and that smiley against that I am me is exactly who Sheethal is.
Exactly.
One of the happiest souls I have, come across in my life, and someone who's grown tremendously as a human being in just my journey with her, as a friend and as a boyfriend and as a husband. And I only see her continuing to grow. She is an incredible mother. She's a fantastic wife. Like I said, plays those roles when you need her to play it. When she needs to play it, she steps into those spaces beautifully. So. And we understand each other's energies also well. We balance the masculine and the feminine within our relationship in a way that serves our relationship. Our roles are well defined. and we fulfill those roles. And there's a lot of learnings that we've been through. We're constantly working on our relationship. I said to you before we started the podcast that I have this saying that came to me, I think, out of a song, but something that I hold dear to. It's the saying goes like this: the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it, nurture it. And for me, that's something that Sheethal and I live by. We we stand where we are, and we don't water and nurture and cut our grass and let it have sun and fertilize it. It's not going to be green. We're always going to be envious of other people's patches of grass. So let's put in the work here. Let's get into uncomfortable spaces, challenge each other, grow with each other, push each other. We've set standards and pillars for our relationship on which it stands, and we operate out of those foundations. And those pillars, even if one gets shaky, the other 4 or 5 hold them together. So one can crumble and burn, but the other 4 will hold it together while we build the other one up again. So those are things that we live by. So, and it takes work. We've gone to the brink of separation multiple times, but one of the things that have kept us going is our love for each other, is the foundations on which we've built our relationship. We're very cognizant of that. And we live our lives based on that, and which is what helps us work from that growth mentality. And she being the person that she is, today she is going through prenatal depression. And is battling with it for almost 2 years now. Actually, more than 2 years, to be honest, closer to 3 years, because this is when she was pregnant. So I can tell you today is Sheethal's probably 25%, 30% the person that she actually is. Mm-hmm. And still you'd say she's one of the happiest people in the world. I mean, if you come across her, if you interact with her, that's what you'll feel.
That's brilliant. And do you think it's the relationship now is as strong as it's ever been?
It's as strong and as weak as it's ever been. And we respect that, right? Relationships are immeasurably strong whilst being the most delicate thing in the world.
But that's because you think sometimes your biggest strength can be your biggest insecurity as well?
Not insecurity, but can be your biggest vulnerability.
Vulnerability. That what if I lose it?
Not what if I lose it. I think the beauty of a relationship is that you just let it sit in your hands. Mm-hmm. The minute you try to clench it, it all goes away. The minute you let it go, it all goes away. You just kind of just place your hands over it and nurture it.
I should be taking notes right now. But I'm taking mental notes, rest assured. Yeah. Go on. So I'm a keen listener right now.
Yeah, so I think relationships are more that. And if you can respect the other person and understand the needs of a relationship, and people don't understand the difference between needs and wants, and understand that there are 2 individuals that come together and become one soul. Especially if you get into the union of marriage. Mm-hmm. You become one soul, and in that process you have to understand that there are 2 entities within that one soul.
Exactly.
And those needs being met within that soul is very critical. And that's how you nurture your grass. That's how you water it. That's how you give it sunlight. That's how you fertilize it. That's how you mow the grass. Keep it clean. The effort.
Exactly.
Love is not a feeling. Love is a choice that you make every day of your life. And
देखिए नाम मेरा अनुभव है, लेकिन आप ज़्यादा अनुभवी है. And something else that struck me about the I am me line was the fact that she seems like the type of person who hasn't lost the child in her. Would you say you still have that child in you alive and kicking every single day?
No, I'm actually unleashing my inner child right now.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you how amazing that is, because
what's been the genesis of it?
How much time do you have?
It depends upon how much time you have. I could go on and on, Robbie.
Oh God.
But I want to be mindful of your time as well.
No, so I'll tell you, dude. It's long, and ask me the question again so I can be more directed to it.
Do you still have that inner child alive and kicking.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
mentioned
I
the fact that, you've just commenced this journey where you're rekindling the inner child. And I asked you about the genesis of it and how this came about, or what was the reason behind the start of this journey?
For me, I think the start of the journey obviously was my relationship with Sheets and
Okay.
how to improve it, how to better it, how to get it better. Because as you grow up and you get into a relationship, you get married, you have kids, you start adulting.
Yeah.
Right? And the only area of your life where you can be a child again is with your closest group of friends, if
Exactly.
you're lucky enough to have that bunch.
Yeah.
Or your relationship where you can be a child again, where you can be playful, where you can be spontaneous, where you can just, have no fear of judgment and just express yourself and, laugh at yourself and make fun of yourself and do silly things, right? That's your safe space. You don't necessarily, a lot of adulting, in the process of adulting, you lose that part sometimes, I see a lot of athletes holding on to their childlike self as well.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. I think playing a sport in that sense leaves that childlike nature within you, because you start playing the sport as a kid because of the love of it.
Exactly.
So that keeps that alive.
Yeah.
But when you have kids and your responsibilities come upon you and you want to create a certain life for your kids and you want to live by a certain standard that you set for yourself as a father or husband or wife or mother, as parents, you start adulting and you don't have that space for you to be a child.
Yeah.
And then if you're cognizant of yourself as a person and if you're self-aware, then your child will bring out the child in you.
Yeah.
And to kind of hold on to that becomes critical.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful process.
Yeah.
Becoming a father also, for me personally, has helped me become a child again. And I've always been great with kids. I love kids. I'm very passionate about children. So for me, to be able to, I find myself being myself a lot more around children. I'm more carefree. I'm more laughing. I'm funny. I'm happy to dance in front of them, dance with them. These are not things I'm comfortable doing in front of other adults, but I'm comfortable doing it with my kids or with children in general. And that keeps me going, and that keeps that childlike nature going for me.
Yeah. So you've almost owned yourself now. You've completely accepted yourself. Yeah. You love yourself.
Yeah.
And which seems like such a stark contrast to what you described you were like initially when you didn't quite have that friendly, affable relationship with yourself. When you had this self-conflict within you, which can absolutely tear you apart.
I actually didn't even have a relationship with myself, Anubhav. In that time I was going through whatever I was going through, I was blatantly unaware, for sure, as a person, as an individual. I was going with the flow of just trying to please people and thought that, God will take care of me. And one of the things I actually believed and always believed is that I have God by my side. God will provide, God will take care. And I've had multiple God experiences in my life. So because of that, for me, my spirituality and whatever I believe in is rooted in God, because I've had God experiences. But I'm certain that a lot of people have the exact same experience and deem it a spiritual and an energetical one, and that's absolutely fine. I think different people have different ways of connecting with the source, and that's absolutely fine. And I find myself today moving from being a deeply religious person to being a deeply spiritual person, and allowing my God experience to have served me in a way that has broadened my horizons, and literally my life is where it is because I've been open as a person.
Yeah.
And I've been open to the magic that the world and the universe has in store for me.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, I'm indifferent to it. Whether things happen in my favor or not, I'm indifferent to it. And today I operate from a place of how can I serve?
Yeah.
How can I serve you? How can I serve you? How can I serve my family? That's exactly how I live my life.
And different people benefit from religion in different ways, or they perhaps believe in religion for different ways. But for me, I'm not the biggest believer in God, but I can totally understand how a belief in God can actually humble you by making you feel as if, there's this supreme superpower and you're actually very insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
I wouldn't say we're insignificant.
No. It's like similar to, I'll give you like a similar example. When you look at the ocean, sometimes when you look at the vastness of the ocean, you realize how small, how trivial, how minuscule you might be. And so it sometimes helps you dissolve the ego that you might have developed thinking you're too self-important.
Sure, I agree with you. Having said that, ego is not necessarily a bad thing. Anything in moderation is great. Ego in moderation is self-respect. Ego in an extreme is destructive. Right? Is narcissistic and is destructive to you and to people around you.
Exactly.
Right? So to find that balance, and you'll find it through imbalance only. You'll go through, and if you're self-aware, you'll get to a place where, okay, I like this. Similarly, if you have to look at it from a macroscopic point of view, we're insignificant. We're nothing. We're nothing but a puff of dust. Or, we're that insignificant. But if you go to a microscopic point of view, then, man, we are, God or the universe deemed us relevant enough to incarnate us in a realm. To go through a life experience, to grow and evolve, to the journey back to the source.
And I look at it from this perspective.
My understanding of God is this. If I have to have a very neutral, non-religious, spiritual kind of understanding of God, it would be, He is everything. He's the universe, or it is the universe, right? However you resonate with it. And we're all minuscule parts of the universe that because God couldn't experience Himself, herself, or itself as a whole, He had to break Himself, herself, or itself into minuscule parts so that it could experience itself. Right? And we're all in that journey of evolution back to the source. That's how I perceive it.
Is that why some people say in us God resides?
We are all God. And I think I heard this in Diljit Dosanjh put this out beautifully in one of his podcasts I think it was with Beer Biceps. He said, Ek Onkar. No heaven or hell, ek onkar, right? And for me, that was so profound. It's like, it negates all negativity. That means good and bad is all one. It's how you perceive it, right? And as long as you perceive it from the place of it serving you, it will serve you. It has to serve you. It's bound to serve you. And if you perceive it from a place of in pursuit of excellence, bro, you're on course. Now today, for example, if I have to take a sporting example, look at, say, Chico, Virat. Like Virat took, say, what the commentators or the broadcasters on the outside were saying, and he said, you haven't done it for 15 years like I've been doing it on the field, so you don't know what you're talking about. Fair enough. And he used that information to play the next 5 matches at 200 strike rate.
Exactly.
Right? So it was beneficial to him. Like he used it in a way that served him.
Exactly.
Right? I can sit outside and say, how can you get offended by my observation? It's but an observation, right? Or, as a broadcaster, it's just an observation. So he's not wrong from where he's speaking from. I'm not wrong from where I'm speaking from. Nobody is wrong. It's just, how are you going to allow it to serve you?
Exactly.
Use the perception that serves you the most. That brings you peace. That makes you feel like, okay, this is all right.
Exactly. So you can either get the interpretation of the event that's taken place, the neutral event that's taken place. You can either get the interpretation to work for you or against you, depending upon how you interpret it. So you touched upon the Kohli incident, about how sometimes he fights back against maybe like criticism that's come from the commentary box from experts. So I thought about this recently, and I might be absolutely wrong with my hypothesis, but I'd love to get your feedback on this. To me, Virat Kohli is the type of personality who wears a chip on not just one shoulder, but both shoulders. It's almost as if he performs at his highest, at his peak levels, when he has someone to prove wrong.
When he's engaging with someone. And so even if real enemies might not exist, personalities like Virat Kohli, Cristiano, Ronaldo, sometimes in their minds, they might create false enemies just so that they actually have someone to prove wrong. And that actually drives them. So they aren't the greats that they are because, despite the criticism, but they are the greats that they are because of the criticism that they're getting. I wouldn't. This is how I would kind of describe it. I would say they would create motivators, not enemies necessarily, to motivate them to bring the best out of them. Because they're very aware of what brings out the best out of them. Sometimes it's an engagement, sometimes it's encountering someone, and you allow that experience to serve you and utilize that in a way that motivates you to bring out the best in you, in your pursuit of excellence, right? For whatever purpose. And so for me, I don't look at it as positive or negative. I look at it more as neutral. So, which is why I'm like, okay, he's finding motivators within this situation to serve him, and it's actually serving him.
Exactly.
So he might perceive it, his perception of it actually might be a positive one.
100%.
But he's portraying it as something that creates the energy of, oh, I'm proving something to you.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's just using that as an aspect to bring the best out of himself.
Makes sense.
May not be even consciously, but maybe even subconsciously. But that's what's actually, I feel like that's what's actually happening. And it's great. If he's aware of it, incredible. More power to him.
Exactly. Which is why do you think, say someone like a Virat Kohli, given what his attitude is like, if Virat were to become too monk-like, in other words, if he dissolved more of his ego, instead of that actually being a good thing, that might actually work against him because of the type of person that he is. And that's why maybe he channelizes the healthy ego that he has in a very constructive way.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I think there is an ebb and flow in life and everything, with everything. So I think he did go through a period where there was a massive imbalance on the other side, where, as a leader, how it was taken away from him, and how all that transpired left him, I'm sure, a little bit lost and soul searching, and he had to find his place again within that ecosystem of the Indian cricket team, the whole BCCI setup, because when power shifts, you will find yourself being very lost, because you don't know where the dust is settling, and only after, because if you're one of the moving pieces, then you can only find your space after all the pieces have moved and the dust is settled.
Exactly.
And then you go and place yourself in a place where you can serve to the best of your ability while serving yourself and while serving the country and your team. So he went through that period of being lost in the woods for a while, but you saw that overly smiley Virat Kohli for a period of time, for a few months, and then you saw a serious one, and you saw an engaging one, and then over a period of time he found that fine balance. You need to give human beings the space to go through that period as well. Not just in sport, but in every walk of life. To find their own balance and give that space, and empower them with that space to say, okay, just figure it out. I'm here.
Exactly.
And he found that, and I think that happens with a lot of people.
And he also took that break from cricket for, I think, a couple of months. That served him really well. He came back and he performed really well, scored that century after that 3-year hiatus as well. And so sometimes when you take a break from things, maybe instead of actually being immersed in it, you take like a bird's eye view of what's actually happening. So for that period of time, you might actually be slightly detached from the thing that you're so attached to. And if you operate with that detached level of attachment, can that actually work in your favor?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest favor you can do to yourself is become an observer of your own life. It's the greatest help of becoming self-aware. It's the greatest way to becoming self-aware, and just start observing things from a distance. And perceiving it as without judgment, first of all. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is whatever it is. And it can be whatever you want it to be. But what is just is. And to have a macroscopic point of view and saying, okay, this is what it is. Okay, this is where it is. Okay, where do I want it to be? What do I want it to be? How do I want it to be? And then you can actually, control that whole narrative and take it to where you want it to be. That is where that work is put. You push yourself out of the comfort zone based on your goals and based on what you want to achieve, and you can work backwards even if you want to work backwards. That's all high performance, that's all excellence.
A rapid fire question for you, and you can think about this. So maybe not ultra rapid, semi rapid fire question.
Go for it.
Your 3 dream dinner guests.
Ooh, I've thought about this.
And why?
I love it. Muhammad Ali, for me, one of them. Tony Robbins, I can say someone is, I could possibly say Nelson Mandela and all that, but that would be the usual suspects. I would actually say, it has to be anyone dead or alive, or anybody.
Anyone.
I would want to invite Yeshua, or Jesus as he's called, as a just not from a teacher's perspective, but from a historian's perspective.
Oh wow!
Just to know what his life was about,
that's one hell of a combination. A very unique combination as well. Yeah. I would love to be the fly on the wall.
I would love to be a fly on the wall of that conversation.
Exactly. Just eavesdropping on worth it talking about. And 3 cricketers that who would be your dream dinner guests? Present or retired?
Vivian Richards. Sir Vivian Richards. Love Sir Viv. Admired him forever. I love a conversationist. So I'd say Rahul Dravid.
Okay.
He's a brilliant conversationist, and
you have lots of conversations with him.
Yeah.
Super.
And he's very interesting. And then who else? Wow, that's a tough one, man. Who else? I'm sure there's somebody else. Again, Sir Don Bradman. More from the history perspective than like just his experiences. Just want to listen to him speak about his experiences. And Sir Viv as well, Rahul Dravid.
Yeah. And from the first 2 names that you mentioned in your previous list, the first one was Muhammad Ali. The second one was
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
If you could give me one word or perhaps like a short sentence that describes the most unique quality about them that you perhaps admire the most, what would it be for Muhammad Ali and Tony Robbins?
For Muhammad Ali, it would be for me manifestation.
Okay.
For Tony Robbins, it would be resilience. I resonate with his resilience and all the things he overcame in life to become who he is today. And I myself believe one of the gifts I've been blessed with in this lifetime or in this incarnation is the gift of resilience. Mm-hmm. You can hit me with anything, I will get back up. I will always get back up. With Yeshua, it would be, like I said, from a historian's perspective, just to listen, to have an unadulterated version of what his life was in this realm for him. Just to listen to him. Yeah. So, maybe teacher.
Yeah, brilliant. And if we apply the same game to the 4 or 5 names that we talked about earlier, that list that we went down, so Virat Kohli.
VK would be again. I would actually, if I would speak to VK, Virat, it would be more about his drive, his excellence, his childhood. Just to understand where all of that comes from. Mm-hmm. With MS, we've had multiple conversations, and I think I'll continue to have multiple conversations because I find him a fascinating human being. He's so wise, man. He is so wise.
Tell us more about MS. Would love to hear. Because I believe you've got a very deep friendship with him as well, right?
Yeah, we do. And it's a unique friendship. But with him, it's the conversations are so simple. He and Sheets are a lot alike in a sense, because whatever they put through, whatever they say, the wisdom they share is shared in a very simple, basic English language, and the beauty in the simplicity in which they explain things is what makes them so special. They say it so plainly.
Because they just have clarity here?
More than clarity, it's I think because of the depth they possess and the fact that they are so self-aware and self-evident and live in the present, that they are able to channelize wisdom and share it, in a very simple manner, and it sounds so profound. So he I often ask him questions about leadership, captaincy, how he navigates through different things in his life, because his is not an easy life, man. It might seem like that outside, but it's a tough life. You're isolated for a lot for the majority of the year. You have to spend lots of time by yourself. When you do meet people, they meet you in awe. So it's very hard for him to have or get into a space of just having real conversations. Conversations of about nothing. In fact, a lot of time that I spent with him at CSK was just us hanging out in the room, just in a room filled with silence, just presence. Just filled with silence, and then randomly once in half an hour, a question I'll throw across to him. Then he'll stay quiet for 5 or 6 minutes and then respond to it. Won't react to it, respond to it. And in between all of that, he'll chuck in his wit and his humor, which cuts like a knife too. He's a fascinating individual. I love the guy. Another one who I love spending time with is Irfan Pathan. Irfan is, again, lives very loudly, very authentically himself, spontaneous, and lives by his values and principles that he set for himself and lives it very proudly. Another one that comes to mind is Sania Mirza. Sania is also like that. Sania lives very authentically, very, very authentically herself.
Your wife's very close to her.
Yeah, they're very close family friends. Our kids are best of friends. But yeah, San is one of them as well. I'd say from a distance, Ravi Bhai is also very authentically himself. He's got a very endearing personality. Got a great voice to match as well, dude. What a voice to have.
Like the most sonorous voice that I've ever heard.
Yeah. And the depths that he takes his voice to, incredible. The levels he can take, the tonation.
Can you do your best Ravi Shastri impression?
No, I can't. I can't get that deep yet. I'm actually working on it. He actually worked on it.
Yeah.
Before he went into broadcasting, he worked on it for a year.
On his voice?
On his voice, his tonality, his tonation, his diction and all of those aspects. He actually went abroad and studied it for a year or so. With someone, I think, conjecture is someone from the UK.
Oh, wow.
I should actually ask him the next time I meet him. It'll be fascinating. But that's something that I want to be able to do with my own voice, to be able to use the different tonalities that I have and the range that I have.
Exactly.
Be very useful in the line of work that I do.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show like how much effort goes on behind the scenes as well to come across as effortless. And Ravi Shastri, again, like he's the doyen of broadcasting in so many ways. Like his voice is now synonymous with the voice of cricket in so many ways. And again, a personality that I absolutely love to shreds. Like he's got a very take no prisoners kind of approach, tells it like it is. And again, like to some people it might come across as too strong or maybe abrasive as well.
I love it.
You absolutely marvel at the fact that they have the audacity to tell it like it is, as opposed to being chronic people pleasers, bending over backwards and being spineless in so many ways.
No, I think he's very clear like that. Sunil Gavaskar is very clear that. There are often people who take a stand, and another one that comes to mind to me is Raidu.
Okay,
Raidu is like that. Man, he's so authentic himself.
Exactly.
He just lives his life so loudly. I love him. Virubai is like that. Gauti is like that. A lot of these guys, they are truly who they are. Like, look at Hardik. Hardik's like that. Rohit's like that.
Exactly.
Just loudly who he is. I love it. I love these personalities.
Yeah. We talked about Gautam Gambhir and MS Dhoni. You recently, I think a couple of days ago, you mentioned something along the lines of both Gautam Gambhir and MS Dhoni. They're very different characters, but they're actually very similar in terms of leadership. So what exactly does that mean?
Very different personalities, right? Gauti is someone who's got a very strong personality, but MS is someone who's also got a very strong personality, but he's very, he's not in your face. He knows how to present it, and he presents it in a very, what's the word? I wouldn't say endearing, but he presents it in a very soft also would be the wrong word, but in a way that's very palatable to the other person.
Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Gauti, on the other hand, this is what it is. He'll present it as it is. He'll say it as it is, but at the base of it, as leaders, they are someone who understand what it takes to lead a team well. Even tactically, these are two guys I've often seen who are always an over or 2 overs ahead of the game. And that means you have to see what's happening, you have to stay in the present, but also go to the future to make a decision and come back into the present and make that decision. So you can even kind of exercising manifestation from a very subconscious level, right? So if you think about it, so they both operate like that as leaders on the field tactically. Off the field, they know what it takes to make a team tick, what it takes, to make a team function. Like if you just operate from survival mentality, if you're going out there to just survive, what are the chances of your survival?
Yeah.
Right? Minimum to slim.
Exactly.
Right? But if you operate from a place of security where you're not worried about, you're not worried about survival. That's already taken care of.
Yeah.
But your role is very clearly defined to you. You've been given clarity that this is your role, this is your opportunity. Just go out there and just be the best version of yourself and just express yourself. I've got your back. And both of them, without even saying as many words, actually has everybody's backs.
Yeah.
And looks after them based on the requirement of the team. They serve the team, but they make sure that the service to the players are aligned to the service to the team and the goals of the team.
Yeah.
So they align that very beautifully, and they've individually created teams or figured out a way to create teams that actually help in this endeavor of the individual's goals aligning with the team's goals.
I see.
Yeah. And a lot of times teams they have a goal for the team, but they don't align the players to the goals of the team.
Makes sense.
And they get this synchronicity done very, very well.
Yeah.
And because it's done and they've repeated the same process over and over and over again, you get there sooner nowadays.
Yeah.
Than if it took, say 6 weeks before, now you get there in 6 days.
Exactly.
That's the efficacy of compounding the good work that you've done over a period of time.
Exactly. It's like the team above the individual at all times. And you have like a group of men or a group of women working towards a collective, like a common collective purpose. And that's when you have the team becoming greater than the sum of the parts as well.
Correct.
And you might have other cases where the reverse happens, where you might have great individuals on paper, but all of their respective goals aren't aligned in the same direction, which is towards the team's cause. And then even a team full of superstars can actually punch below its weight, where the team becomes less than the sum of its individual parts.
Ooh, man, that's complex, dude. But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So that, I think that reminds me of something that I had in my mind, is that sometimes you, like an analytical mind, can actually turn something that's fairly simple or might seem fairly trivial or simple to 95% of the people into something much bigger than what it should be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it has many of its boons, many of its merits.
Sheethal does that all the time. So for me, I'm like, dude, can you just say that again, please?
Yeah.
And then I'll ask questions. So now I've gotten to a place where like, can you please dumb it down for me?
Yeah.
So that's what I ask her. Because sometimes she explains something that's so straightforward. I'm like, babe, like you have to say something like this. Why do you say it like this? She's like, for you it's like this, but for me it's like this. I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
And so like, okay, now simplify it to me.
Exactly.
Like, I'll ask a lot of questions.
Exactly.
Simplify it. Yeah.
But I think that that could be like the hallmark of a very introspective as well as analytical mind. It's like two things being combined: introspection as well as this analytical bent that you might have. But you think too much self-awareness or too analytical a mind or too problem-solving a mind can actually sometimes backfire, because you might end up overcomplicating things unnecessarily.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You have to understand that there is a line to overthink, or there's a line to think as well. The minute you go past that, you overbalance on the other side. And yes, you might serve it might be engaging to be in that line of thought, but you're doing a disservice to the action that you can take on the other side of the seesaw.
Exactly.
You're overbalancing on that side of the seesaw where you're like, okay, man, this is fun. Let me just go keep thinking. But here, because you're thinking so much, there's very little action taken. So you have a lot of solutions, but no proof of work, so to speak.
Exactly.
So you need to leave space for magic to happen. And magic is serendipitous. Magic is in the spontaneity of things. Is when you just allow things to be.
Yeah.
And just observe. And then magic happens quietly, man. Magic doesn't make a loud sound.
So it doesn't happen when you're trying too hard. When you have something clenched too tightly.
Yeah. It doesn't. And that's why relationships don't work when you try to hold on to them. It's like, I have to make it work. No, you don't have to make it work. You want to make it work, it'll work. You have to make it work, the chances are it won't.
So you have to learn to surrender in so many ways.
you have to surrender. You have to surrender.
Is that something you were horrible at and then became much better at?
No, I was always good at it.
Always good at it.
Because I was someone who went with the flow. So I'm like, take me with you. But now it's like, no, take me with you there. I want to go there. So I'm like, I channelize where I want to go, and then I let God flow.
Yeah.
I let the universe flow and take me there.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm exactly where I am, having this conversation with you about, say, things that are not related to cricket at all. And I love it. Because I genuinely believe that this is where I'm going to do a big chunk of my life's work.
Throughout the conversation, Robbie, and it's not that this conversation has made me realize this. I knew this well before this conversation as well. But it's even more clear now that you're a practical philosopher masquerading as a former cricketer. I think that's what you are.
I'm a former cricketer in India. Yeah. I'm still a cricketer outside of India.
Yeah, that's true.
I think I find myself in a very transitional phase in my life right now. Because I was damn lucky, man, to be able to find my passion at a very young age. I've often said this story that my first conscious memory of myself is of me playing cricket.
Oh, wow.
And then I knew that cricket was my passion. Even though I played other sports and loved other sports, and I picked up sport very, very easily. Cricket was something I went to my mum as a 7-year-old kid, opened a newspaper and said, I want to go to that cricket academy. That's how it began.
Yeah.
And then they backed me, and the first time I got cut from my under 13 state selections, I got cut in the first round. I was 8 years old. I came back all joyous and happy and all that. Mom was like, what happened? She's like, don't worry, it's fine. You'll get selected next year. I'm like, yeah, I know I'll get selected. I'm like, Mom, this is what I want to do for my life. This is what I want to do in life. I said, for work, this is what I want to do. Even if I earn 10 rupees from this is what I want to do. I actually told my mother that. And my mother later on told me like, whoa. She's like, how could you say something like that?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I just said it. So I knew that cricket was what I was going to do, right? And very clearly knew it was my passion. But then along the way, I was damn lucky because my parents supported me. They backed me. They really supported. Mom, especially mom, really supported me. Dad, yes, pushed me. We went through a lot of ups and downs in our relationship because of the parental-child relationship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There were times that I would get out on the ground and I would be like, I wouldn't be thinking about how I got out. I would be thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to get belted by dad on the phone today. What am I going to say to him? So I've been through the whole process of, almost losing my relationship with my father, then actually having to work on it myself to say, no, I want a relationship with my dad, so I'm going to work on it and rekindle it. And then today we share a relationship that's based out of love and respect and all of that. And knowing that my purpose was to add value in people's lives. And if you look at my career, you'll see that that's exactly how I've gone about my career, often to the detriment of my own personal growth. But I've done it because I'm like, I've had to have like a lot of multiple conversations with myself, with my soul. It's like, okay, what do I want to do? Because I know sometimes I have to wait just for one game, my opportunity will come, and not give a suggestion to someone that can actually serve them and help them perform well, and indirectly and in the process serve the team as well. But actually I had to have one-on-one conversation with myself. Okay, Robin, what do you want to do? Like, Robbie, what do you want to do? What will give you peace, right? And one of the things I often ask myself when I want to make an important decision when it comes to serving other people or serving me, or any sometimes challenging decision that I have to make, I'm like, okay, will you be able to sleep with yourself? In the sense, because you sleep with your soul, will your soul be at peace when you go to sleep? Because if your soul's not at peace, then this is going to be a futile exercise. So when you look back at life and you look back at this moment when you made this decision, will you look back at it proudly, or will you look back at it with a tinge of, oh, you could have done better? And that helps me make the right decision. And oftentimes the right decision is always the harder one to make at that point in time.
But playing devil's advocate, Robbie, a lot of people say that humans, given how hypocritical we might be, we operate with a flexible morality based upon what a self-interest is. So what if you, at this moment of time, you feel as if I won't be able to sleep at night if I do this, but maybe later on, your emotional state might be completely different, and you can somehow rationalize doing what you were looking down upon maybe 4 hours ago when your emotional state was much better. So sometimes you have like a flexible morality as well with which you operate.
No,
and you
I
might
think
rationalize doing the immoral.
No, so I think people who have flexible moralities are people who are not entirely honest with themselves. Right? You got to own your truth, whatever it is. Right? If you're someone who loves to live vicariously and who loves to, for example, love to have multiple partners or multiple people in your life, then that's who you are. There's no judgment there. It's fine. That's how you navigate through this life. Maybe that's part of your calling. Who knows? You don't know. And maybe through that you'll meet the person of your dreams and you'll be like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything, right? But you need to be honest with yourself. You can't say, no, I'm a one-woman man and then live an alternate life. That's being dishonest with who you are.
Yeah.
You got to confront truths and own your truths. The minute you own your truths, then this whole flexible morality will not even happen. Then you won't be a victim of your circumstances. You'll be the master of your own destiny.
Exactly.
You can, and you are at the point of taking the call of being a victim of your circumstances or being the master of your destiny.
Yeah. That's something else that I've made a mental note of. That's like indelibly etched now in the theatre of my mind. So it's been very evident through everything that you've said, Robin, that through your journey, like the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs, like literally going from being on the precipice of suicide to then coming back up, roaring, fighting, and look at what you're doing right now. You found your purpose, your ikigai, and you're actually serving other people and providing value to them. It's truly awe-inspiring, everything that you've been through. And I think it really highlights something that Jamie Carragher once said on a football show. And he said that athletes aren't extraordinary people. They're ordinary people who happen to have an extraordinary skill set.
Correct.
And so they have feelings, they have emotions, they have experiences like yours as well. And sometimes I think the people on the outside feel as if, they're wearing like a cloak of invulnerability and they're immune to outside noise, to things that might be hurled at them, abuse, left, right, and center. And we sometimes lose sight of that fact.
Sure.
But they're ordinary people who happen to have an extraordinary skill set.
Yeah. And let's go back to our most famous sport in the country. Go back to cricket and tell me how many people within the fraternity come from even upper middle class or wealthy backgrounds. Very few and far in between.
Yeah.
All of us come from ordinary middle class, lower middle class, some even poverty backgrounds, right? People who survive from day to day, hand to mouth. And I agree with Jamie Carragher's statement that we're ordinary human beings with an extraordinary ability.
Exactly.
And I've said this in the past that our job is there on display for the world to observe and critique and have an opinion on. Sure, as in our successes and losses, our victories and failures happen in public, but your work's victories and failures and a corporate job's victories and failures all happen in private.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a huge difference because what we do also puts food on the table for us in our family.
Yeah.
We're not going to always succeed. Look at the best batter in the world. Okay? He's probably an anomaly, Sir Don Bradman. Second best batter in the world, or say according to stats, one of the best batters in the world, Sachin Tendulkar, 55, 60 average, whatever the test average was. Okay. What does that say to you? He's been successful 6 out of 10 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Even the greatest in the world has not perfected it. 99.94. So 9.94 out of 10.
Exactly.
Right? So what does that tell you? So if you're successful a majority of the time, you've had an incredible career.
Yeah.
Right? That means you're hugely successful.
Yeah.
And ranges of success vary based on your skill set, based on the line of work that you're doing. But if you can stay in the majority, if you can get close to the majority, getting 50%, 51, 52, then you're some of the best in the world.
Exactly. This reminds me of something I read in an interview that Shubman Gill gave, and he said he had to work really hard on detaching a part of his personality that was only happy when he scored runs in cricket. And he realized that he was only feeling happiness and a sense of self-worth when he was scoring a 50 or 100.
Yeah,
but more often than not, you will not score a 50 or 100. And so he felt that, this life where I'm only happy when I'm scoring a 50 or 100 is not the kind of life that I want to live.
Beautiful.
So he had to detach that part of his personality, because he mentioned that in India, success is always equated with happiness. Like from the time you're a child, you tell the child that, okay, you'll only get a chocolate if you get high marks in your exam that you have tomorrow. Or you'll only get to play if you've studied for 4 hours before you go out. And so I think sometimes when that's taken to too much of an extreme, the child starts feeling as if only if he or she succeeds in something does he or she deserve to be happy.
No, not necessarily. I think those things they have a place in life. They have a place in raising a child. Everything's got a place in moderation. I think the reward system has a place in moderation because it teaches a kid to complete tasks, right? It makes them feel and that gives you confidence. When you complete tasks, when you say, okay, for example, you say, okay, I want to do 10 podcasts with 10 different personalities. When you complete that, and then the product and the effort and the endeavor has been a successful one, it brings you not just success, it brings you confidence.
Exactly.
And a confident human being can go about trying to achieve everything that they want to achieve and actually succeed at it, right? Compared to a person who doesn't have confidence, who's got the higher chances of succeeding? The person who's got confidence or the person who doesn't have confidence?
The former.
Correct, right? So, and there are no guarantees in life. The only thing you can guarantee is the best chance to be successful.
Yeah, exactly.
And confidence does deliver that. In sport, outside of sport. So everything's got a place.
Yeah.
Even disciplines have a place in life. Like even the pursuit of excellence. Like when the pursuit of excellence overbears itself, it becomes a pursuit of perfection. But the medium is pursuit of excellence itself.
Yeah. I'll tell you something, these last couple of hours or so, this has been the best from my perspective, and I'm pretty sure I'll be echoing the sentiments of everyone who'll watch this. This has been like a 2-hour deep dive into life coaching. Like preparing me for life in terms of mentality, in terms of everything else. Spirituality, you talked about religion, you talked about specific examples, what describes those people, what we can all extract from them. I swear everything that you've covered in these 2 hours is probably more valuable than a 2-year MBA degree or any other degree.
Man.
I'm not kidding. Like
It's all got its place.
I've truly loved it, and I know I called you a former cricketer, practical philosopher, but trust me, no matter how many labels and titles I give you, I think it'll still be egregiously selling you short.
Thank you.
You're so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you gracing this
Yeah.
podcast with your time, with the quality that you always unfailingly bring to the table. I know recently you have been on a few podcasts where you've talked a little bit about the hidden truth about money in Indian cricket and the hidden dark side of Indian cricket. But hopefully this was a more illuminating conversation.
These conversations are fun, man. These conversations are fun. I think, obviously, because of, cricket and because of me playing it professionally for like 23, 25 years here in India, I'll always be known as a cricketer. But I think over a period of time that will slowly change. And people will know me as a man of service. And I hope for that and I pray for that because I know that I'm here to serve people.
Yeah. And I thoroughly look forward to following your journey as well.
Thank you.
So more
Thank
power
you. It's
to
been
you.
an absolute pleasure, dude.
Likewise. Cheers, brother. Thank you
Cheers,
so much.
man.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
No, my pleasure.
Thank you so much, guys, for having tuned in to watch the entirety of this episode. Tell me if I'm right, but I think I'm echoing your sentiments when I say that Robin Uthappa is music to our ears. And speaking of music to our ears, I filmed a couple of other episodes with R. Sridhar and Simon Dool recently, both of which are published on the channel. So if you enjoyed this, then I have an optimistic feeling that you're going to enjoy those as well. For those amongst you who are aspiring sports presenters, definitely check out the link in the description, the link to my workshop on how you can become a sports presenter in India. It's already changed lots of lives, lots of people have benefited from it. Ever since attending the workshop, they've actually gone on to scale great heights in the field of sports presenting, many of them having broken in for the first time as well. And if you're one of those who aspires to be a sports presenter, I've got absolutely no doubt that you're going to enjoy the workshop and take away a lot from it. Thank you so much for having given me company once again, and I'll see you again very soon.